you're basically the Santa Claus for Christmas movies for the for the culture. How would you say this one is unlike any other Christmas film that you've done before?
Oh, it's very different. Very different. I've had some fun making Christmas movies. They were generally around big families and big family dynamics and elements and issues. This one is interestingly, it's about a smaller family dynamic, but the movie itself is bigger and broader. The scope of the movie is bigger. So it's about our Ludacris character, and he and his wife are estranged. They're going through a tough time right now. He's got an amazing young daughter, played brilliantly by young Madison Sky. And it's about our Luda character who has got issues with Christmas. He's one of these people that he just, as he will say, I don't do Christmas, right? Then we all know people that are like that. The holidays aren't amazing for everybody for various reasons. For Luda's character, it's because he has some childhood trauma that he hasn't really dealt with. And so the journey of this family unit, which is really small because it's really just Luda and his wife and their daughter, is interesting because Luda and his daughter are now forced to go on this journey. Luda doesn't believe in Christmas. He's forced to be with somebody the whole movie who doesn't believe in anything but Christmas. And that, of course, is our Santa Claus played by Lil Rel. And it's fun.
Yeah, and I love that. And one thing that I thought was so interesting is that Santa really hones in on the inner child of a lot of the adult characters, specifically Luda's character, Eddie. Why was that an important notion to like really tap into healing your inner child and as it pertains to Christmas?
Yeah, well, I think it's very relatable. I think that it's important. We talk more, I should say, about mental health than we have previously in the past. And it's interesting that Luda's character is actually somebody who deals with people who have mental health issues. He is a social worker for the Atlanta Police Department in our film. And so he's dealing with people who have a different view of the world, different perspective of the world, sometimes people who aren't healthy in the way that they view themselves or view the world. And it's interesting because initially he thinks that Lil Rel is somebody who needs some mental health help. But of course, ultimately, Luda's character is the one who could use some help and who could use some healing. I thought that was important because I think that you don't see that a lot in movies dealing with that. You especially don't see it a lot dealing with black men. And so this is a black man who's a father, who's a girl dad. I love that imagery, but he's also somebody who has to disarm himself, right? And allow himself to heal. And a lot of time you have characters played by Luda. Look, Luda is a strong character. He's a rapper, right? He's been in movies, like the Fast and Furious series where he's doing all these amazing physical things. He had to show some vulnerability in this film. And I like that. I love that imagery because we need to now allow people to be vulnerable in real life.
Yeah, and some other imagery that I loved personally was just seeing Black Santa in this light, in the heart of just the mecca of black culture, which is Atlanta. Why was it so important to bring that Black Santa to Disney in this way as far as representation?
Yeah, because we haven't seen it. Because, Disney hadn't made a Black Santa movie. Because I grew up on movies just like you that had, Santas and families and main characters that didn't look like us. And so it's time, right? And this is a movie that's for everybody. It's not just for, little black kids. It's for little black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter. But in this movie, Santa happens to be a dark-skinned Santa. And I like that. And I like that because it just means that we're at a place now, backed by a major studio like Disney, who gets it, who understands the importance of this type of imagery. We're at a point where we can show a truly inclusive, authentic world.
Yeah, I can't wait for the kids in my life, like my family and my goddaughter, to see it because I love Christmas movies and I laughed from beginning to end.
That's awesome.
And then just lastly here, another thing, Santa has all the gadgets and gizmos. He is so technologically advanced. Why did you bring that approach to make him more modern, and how do you hope that will make this a film that just stands the test of time for generations to come?
Yeah, we talked about that a lot. We wanted this to feel like a very contemporary film We wanted Santa to be cutting edge. We wanted Santa to have all the as you said, the cool gadgets and gizmos, because I think that's what will help to make him relatable to today's audiences. And I'm hoping that that will also allow him to continue to be relevant to audiences to come. In the perfect world, you make a movie like this and families watch it every year. You know, it becomes a classic or a staple in households. And that's what we want. So part of that was to say, all right, we're not making a movie that's in the 40s, 50s, 60s. We want to make a movie that is not just today, but like 5 minutes into the future. That's what we were going for.
I love that, and I love the film, so congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Lil Rel, I want to start with you because you're about to become the culture's first Black Santa shown in this light. What does this moment mean to you?
It means a lot, actually. Like I was talking earlier to him, every time I watch the end of the movie, I literally, yesterday was different because I was at the screening. Not only was it at the movie when everybody started cheering. And so right. It's only a few times I felt something like that. Honestly, when I did get out, it felt like that. And this is a little different though, because, I think about an image I never saw as a kid. And so having my kids there and seeing this, even after we went to dinner last night and them talking about all the different things, it's like, yo, and one of my homeboys was there yesterday. And I ain't gonna say how he was talking, like, man, hey, man, you Santa, man.
Yeah.
You Santa, man.
Isn't that crazy? We're not just saying the same thing about having that moment at the end of the movie last night. Like I had a moment as well, bro, and it was right when people started applauding.
And then you put the fist up too, which was dope. Yeah.
I kept telling Tim, I hope they keep that.
Yeah, that was.
And they kept it in the movie.
Yeah, and I loved it because, I have a goddaughter and little cousins who are going to watch this film and be able to see so much of themselves. And so, Luda, for you, I want to know, what lesson would you say Eddie teaches us about healing our inner child, especially during Christmas time?
Oh, man, we were just talking about that. Like these generational curses that are put upon us sometimes that we have no control over, and sometimes things that we do have control over, and we make generational curses. It's so important to heal. That the world needs healing right now. There's so much negativity going on, and the only way to try and create a path forward in a positive manner is to first heal yourself so that you can move on the path of trying to heal everyone else.
Yeah, and bro, this Santa has so many gadgets and gizmos. He's like the modern Santa Claus with a remote for his sleigh, an iPad for the nice and naughty list. How will this modern approach make this a film that'll stand the test of this time? No, wait, let me redo that. How will this film stand the test for this time, but for generations to come?
Well, technology is a real thing. So, Santa's making toys and doing all this stuff. It's crazy that, Santa would have an upgrade. And this is what I love about the Santa Claus, too. You actually learn more about the North Pole. So every time Santa reference to, we go to therapy, and it's a walrus is our therapist. And, this Santa's actually explaining everything that kind of goes on in the North Pole and not just the stuff we know all the time. So, with the iPad and the clicker and Santa dyeing his beard. It's just really, we're humanizing Santa. And I thought, what I loved about the script, that was one of the coolest things about it. It's like, yo, Santa's human too. And then Santa's a therapist in this, pretty much. You know what I mean? Outside of just using Santa powers to do stuff, Santa's using the power of logic and listening and being inspiring and encouraging. So I think it's going to stand the test of time, not just with the technology, but even with just the message.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of that messaging, Ludacris, when folks watch this movie, what is the number one thing that you want them to walk away with?
There's so many. You making me pick one thing. I mean, we talked about the healing, which I feel like is probably number one. But if you're gonna give me one more, since we just named the healing, family and coming together, especially during the holidays, just love. Love is always gonna be my number one answer for everything. I want them to feel
love.
Yes, and then just lastly here, both of you have children of your own. So tell me, what does this moment mean? Just like, what were their reactions to the film, and what did that do for like your heartstrings?
Oh, I don't know if he was in my theater, but as soon as I kissed my on-screen wife, my kids had a problem with it. They was yelling.
His kids, it wasn't just that part. Your kids was entertained the whole time. They was into them. They was singing and dancing with the dance part.
They was embarrassing me. They was embarrassing me.
They was a lot of fun. I want to go to the movies with them now. Like, I'd rather watch a lot of movies.
Yo,
with them.
I love it. But no, number one, like, you know, I'm sure Rel can attest to this. Sometimes we do films where we can't necessarily watch it with our kids, right? Mm-hmm. This is one of those films where we can watch it with our family and feel great about it. And it is it's just a lot of love and a lot of family.
And that's the thing too. Like for me, I've become very intentional about picking films that, you know, like this. That's really based on family, and there's even just stuff with like, you know, dad stuff. Like I've been trying to take a Steve Martin approach to everything. Yeah. Like as far as picking these dad roles, right. Because it's very important to just show the image of like just a black dad. It's not even just for my kids. Like you want other kids or other cultures to get used to seeing, you know, a black Santa, a black dad. You know, just, you know what I mean? Like and so Disney, shout out to Disney. This is like my third or fourth thing with them where I've been doing like these dad things. So
come on, man.
I appreciate them letting me be Santa along with all the other stuff they let me do.
Yeah, I love it. And I just have to say shout out to the range for both of y'all, because I grew up on your music and then just seeing you in this light, and then I just did a story for The Mill. Oh, wow. And I was like, the range just jumps out every time. So I'm so happy and I love this film and I can't wait to watch it with my family.
Man, that means the
thank
world.
you so much.
Of course,
it's
thank
great
you.
to have interviews where people are like